Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host of Global TV Talk Show, a business unit of globalbusinessnews.net. We've been around since '03 on that site. Google Analytics has measured audience, and if we can believe all that, they say that there's been 1.2 million audience page views on globalbusinessnews.net. Our live conference business crashed and burned about March 1st of 2020 because of the pandemic, and during April of 2020, we launched this Global TV Talk Show, which is bringing together people from across borders and from across cultures, collapsing time, bringing people together to network, although not in person. Someday we'll do a hybrid and we'll go back live. Our special guest today is an expert at personal communications, helping business leaders and top salespeople and others who want to be in top sales get better. Let's welcome Meredith Elliott Powell.
Thank you. I am looking forward to being here.
No, I'm really honored to have you. You're such a star. So congrats on your new book. Tell us about it. Do you have a book cover to hold up?
Oh, you know what? I should, but I'm sitting here. I've mailed everything out today, but there's what the book looks like. There's one of my cards.
Right.
I just probably finished mailing out about 20 of them, but we have sold 5,000 copies. We've got about 40. I know we're only out 2 weeks. We've got 43 reviews on Amazon, with more coming. But in essence, what the book is, ironically, I started writing it before the pandemic. Because even in good economic times, I find that we struggle with uncertainty. People worry about it, and it impedes growth even in good economic times. And people want to take action, but they don't know what to do. And I wanted to write the formula of exactly what you need to do to use uncertainty as opportunity to propel growth rather than prevent it. And I studied companies that have been in business since the late 1700s, early 1900s, and they are still in business, thriving today. And from that, I wrote a 9-step formula, which I did further research to prove it, that if you put it into place in your business, I guarantee you, any adversity you find, you're going to turn it into opportunity.
So adversity comes from almost a lack of strategic planning or thinking things through. Something unknown happens, a competitor springs up, or something bad happens internally, or something in the marketplace changes. But what's the first thing to deal with uncertainty?
Yeah, the very first thing, it's going to sound a little trite, but the very first thing that you've got to do is you have to have a vision. You really, there's a great story in the book that I talk about a group of kids going whitewater rafting. And I love this story because most of us at some point in our life have gone whitewater rafting. And you sit through the safety talk, which takes a few minutes. They slap a raft on you and throw you down the river. Well, these kids were going on a trip the day that the river had gone from class 2 to class 5 rapids. So their safety talk was 5 hours long. And the safety talk was about the fact that the guide told them they would see rocks, they would see down trees, they would see high water. And she wanted to make them aware of that, but she would immediately point to the calm water where the raft needed to go. And she explained it like this, and this is what we need to understand in business. She said, I will point you to the calm water where the raft needs to go because you'll be pulled there like a magnet. If I focus you on the obstacles and only the obstacles, you'll be stuck there. Your raft will be pulled like a magnet into it. We are the same way. If you can't see past the obstacles, then you'll never get past them. So you need to have a vision of what your business and your life is going to look like when this is over.
So you expect bad things.
Yeah. The mind finds what we focus on. There's an exercise in the book that says, close your eyes and think of the color red. Now open your eyes and look around the room and look for the color red. And you'll start to find red in a room you've looked around in for 30 years and never noticed before. So the beautiful thing is your mind will find what you focus it on. You just need to focus it. And that's what you need to do first.
So is there a prayer?
Yeah, there's
how do you get over that troubled water?
Yes, that's right. The like a bridge over troubled waters, right? There we just dated ourselves. But I call it a relentless vision. Like you will see right here, I have my vision on my note cards. And I read this first thing every morning. I read it again at lunchtime, and I read it again before I close my office down at night, because I want my mind focused on finding this. And it's amazing.
Boy, that's really hard.
The way it works.
That is really hard. Because 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock or 1:30 even. And,
That's right. But the beautiful thing about what I just told you is it's one of the most important things to get through tough times. And you have control over it. I mean, you can work on conditioning your mind. You can do that. You have some semblance of control over that.
So it's okay to brainwash ourselves.
Yes. In fact,
so we don't have to live in doubt and problems and feeling bad.
No, because the truth is, look back on your life. The uncertainty of it has not always been bad.
Right.
Well,
you're a pleasure to talk with, I'll tell you. Okay, I'm looking at notes here. Third and fourth quarter, you said, this is so cute on that little 97-second thing. You said, hey, wake up. Your competition is getting tired.
Yes, absolutely. So third and fourth quarter are my favorite 2 quarters of the year. And they're my favorite 2 quarters of the year because, in my opinion, they're the most important 2 quarters. Everybody comes out of the gate strong. There's something about New Year's that we believe it's a new year. We get to start over. We're excited about making sales calls and getting new business. But about June, we get tired. At the end of second quarter, we either get tired because we didn't do well, or we get tired because the first 2 quarters have been so strong. And the thing about business growth is you need to find the opportunity in the marketplace. And the opportunity is when your competition starts to lay back, you need to start to come on. So these 2 quarters are really, really important. Keep the engine going. I know that people are listening to us globally, but here in the US, we just came off 4th of July week. This is the slowest week of the year. I feel like everybody is closed 4th of July week. I'm making sales calls like a crazy woman because none of my competition is doing it.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result of the pandemic, you couldn't go out on live meetings, neither could I. So it took me about a month before I got the guts. Actually, that starts with a B, but I'm not going to say that, to go in front of the camera. I've been in front of people a long time in smaller meetings. I've been in PR and advertising since I was about 15, which dates me back to last century for sure. But the pandemic caused a lot of problems for a lot of people, and still is, although the nature of the problems are changing. Now the big corporate executives don't know how to get people back in the office and be human with them.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a timely announcement.
Hi, I'm Sergey Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers, and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
We're here with Meredith Elliott Powell, who's a famous keynoter and business advisor for salespeople as well as C-suite in business. And we've been talking very briefly about the third and fourth quarter and how dynamic they can be because guess what? Your competition doesn't think so. Meredith, how do you recommend people get rid of the imposter syndrome, that they're not worthy of doing something, or do I really need to do this? How will it make me look or feel? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so interesting you had asked me this because I was just really thinking about this today. I've got to write an article about how I brought my business back after the pandemic, and I've got to credit my mother, who now has passed on. But I was my mother always had little things that she insisted on, like everybody else was told not to talk to strangers. I was told to talk to strangers, that my job was to make everybody in a room feel comfortable, and turned out to be one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned. But my mother used to tell me anytime I got focused on a problem, she would say that the fastest way to get past your own problems is to focus on somebody else's.
Oh,
And that served me so well in this pandemic. It took me about a week to figure out this wasn't about me. Didn't have a thing to do with me. And if I wanted to figure out how to fix my business, I needed to stop focusing on fixing my own business and start trying to help my customers. And that is what I tell all of my clients. Call 10 customers, just reach out to them and ask them questions. And it is from asking them questions that you're going to find the problems you can solve now. Can I tell you a quick story?
please.
Okay, we highlight this strategy in the book, and I should honestly call it Jones' strategy. That was my mother, but I talk about Procter and Gamble in the book. Most people know it as P&G. What most people don't know about P&G is that they were founded in the early 1800s by two men, Procter and Gamble, who married sisters, and they were in competition. One sold candles and one sold soap. They competed for animal fat. Their future father-in-law said, boys, quit competing with one another and form a company. And Procter & Gamble was born. Well, they were big believers that the only way to develop a product is to ask people about what they're working on and figure out what problem the product needs to solve. So the first product they went to put on the market was soap. Now, I don't care what any of us sell. It cannot be more difficult to differentiate yourself in the marketplace than to try to sell frickin' soap. So true to form, they went out and they talked to customers, and here's what they found. People loved soap. People wanted to use soap, but here was the problem with soap. When you use soap and you lathered up with it, it would slip out of your hands. It would fall to the bottom of the bathtub, and you would have to feel around for it. Quote unquote, Procter & Gamble's customers said, we want a soap that floats. And if anybody's as old as I am, you remember Ivory soap. They injected air into a bar of Ivory soap and used the tagline, a soap that floats. Now, what I want you to understand about that is their competitors were selling soaps that smelled good, soaps that came in different colors, soaps that came in different shapes, all good ideas. But Procter & Gamble was the only one selling soap that solved the biggest problem customers had. And by the end of the 1800s, they were $1 million company. So this is not about you. I know you're going through bad times, but quit focusing on yourself, focus on your customers, and you will find the answer.
Solve a problem
Mm-hmm.
for somebody.
Yeah, for somebody. That's because, and the biggest mistake I see people making right now is they're trying to sell the same way and position their products exactly how they positioned them before COVID. And your customers have changed. We've all changed.
So I'm looking at some notes here from your talk this morning on that video. It says, review the first 2 quarters, what worked, what you gained from doing that, which customers did better than others, and what do you want to change in yourself?
Yeah, now to understand with this, I am a sales coach, but I believe the best sales coach you're ever going to have is yourself. And there's a lot to be said for just analyzing what you did. I call it a seeds, weeds, and a needs. And I call it shed fast and keep moving. Look back at the first 2 quarters and ask yourself, what did I do that worked? What do I need to keep doing? Those are your seeds. What did, maybe you went to a certain networking event or you put certain things on social media. They worked. What did you do that didn't work? Where did you waste time? Those are your weeds. And we all waste time. I waste time. I give my time to the wrong clients or whatever. What do you need to quit doing? And then what do you need to be doing that you're not doing that could take your business forward? I'll give you a quick example. I was using a lot of email and I found that people aren't responding. They've gotten overwhelmed with email. It worked really well in first quarter, but now people are responding to the telephone. So calling people on a Friday afternoon is really working well for me. So you're just analyzing what you did before you put your plan together for third and fourth quarter. Learn from yourself in first and second, and get more efficient, more effective, and more productive.
So we shouldn't be afraid to call somebody on a Friday afternoon?
You should welcome it. My favorite thing is to call people on a Friday afternoon. At 99.9% of the time, I get a voicemail, But here's the beauty of getting voicemail is I get to put my energy into the voicemail. And the second is I'm now different from my competition. People are like, whoa, she called me. Nobody ever calls me anymore. So they think I got a little more chutzpah. And then I just always finish my call by saying, you know what? You're out Friday afternoon. Hope you have a great weekend. Please don't worry about following up with me. I'm going to send you an email.
Yeah,
But
you can control
you can
the
control it.
environment and the message. And what better proving ground is that?
Absolutely. So, but when eventually, through no fault of my own, the telephone will stop working. Maybe people all over the world will hear this and start using the telephone. So the telephone will become crowded. So I'll realize that the telephone isn't working. I'll go try something else. A couple quarters ago, I was using snail mail and getting a great response to doing it the old fashioned way. So you never know. Just learn from yourself and realize in an uncertain environment, more is changing outside of your business than inside it. So with that, you've got to be willing, like a chameleon, to shed the skin and try something different.
Got it. So there's another coach, author, Dr. Daniel Burris, who's been on my show in the past. But
I love Daniel Burris.
He was the first one that I ever listened to who was talking about, this is a few years ago, who was talking about hard things and soft things.
Yes.
Trends, I think.
Trends, hard trends and soft trends.
Yeah. And, understand what is the difference? A hard trend is something, whoa, watch out, there's a train coming down the track.
Yeah.
Like the pandemic, and then the soft trend is, how are people reinventing, or what are they doing? And so with us, what I did, because everything stopped March 1 to 30 of 2020, I said, well, I've got to create a resource for people who have trouble connecting now in this time. Right. And so I started using LinkedIn and sent little notes out, say, hey, I'm doing this TV show. Come and be my guest. No money. Don't worry about that. I want the PR. And by the way, I'm reinventing myself. So do you have a story you want to talk about? Reinventing your product or your culture or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't keep people away.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I mean, but that's such a great example, Edwin, of reaching out, focusing on other people. And from there, you find opportunity, you find answers, and you find that like you said, you find a new way to invent yourself.
So here, I'm not promoting myself here, but this is just an example. I guess I am promoting myself, but being a sales guy. So in the early days before the internet, I was a print publisher.
I remember those days.
Real paper, glossy color, typesetting line by line. Oh my God, it's terrible and really expensive. And we printed in Korea and in Hong Kong, and at that time in Shenzhen, which is right over the border from Hong Kong, in Red China. So that was a long time ago, and we saved quite a bit of money, and we learned how to do that. But it was still expensive.
Sure.
But the quality was fine. It was no problem. But what was in the content, and why am I bringing it up now? This is back in late 80s, early 90s. We had a company that was quite active called US Bound.
Mm-hmm. And
we had a 1-800 US Bound, and it was all about companies recruiting from overseas. In other words, globalism, right? Before it became cool. And so, but it's been going on forever. Procter & Gamble had always brought people over from London.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So our guidebooks were area economic development guides. Relevant focus was where to live if you're a newcomer in the area or you're a newcomer to the States.
Yeah.
Right? And so whether it was Raleigh or in Charlotte or in Columbia or in DC or California or Boston, didn't matter. We had guides for many cities, and they were supported by advertising, mainly from real estate. And area chambers of commerce were big customers because they used it as an area recruitment tool for businesses as well as people, newcomers coming in. So it was a great idea and it worked. And it was run by advertising. And when the internet came, a lot of that just disappeared slowly, but it disappeared. And it became really hard. And I lost my own bearings a little bit. And so there was a gap of about 5 years until I caught on and started doing internet and learning how to do that. Okay, so long story made short, the advertising business caused by the pandemic, in some cases took off, but not in relocations because they dried up and stopped.
Right.
And everybody connected with this industry, relocation, had no work, right? So what am I going to do? How am I going to find new customers? And so I've come up with the idea, and this is brand new, Meredith. We haven't even launched it yet, but it will be launched later in July, is to take the idea of area information and turn it into a TV talk show focusing in on a particular market, each program.
Love
And
it.
supported by the local powers that be that used to be my customers in print.
Yeah.
And now I'm transferring them over to this, right?
Right.
So reinvented
I love it.
the use of it. And I didn't reinvent anything other than the use of it.
Yeah.
But it's a business that's different. Video is different. TV is different than print.
Right.
So anyway, this is my future coming up, and it's like exploding right around me. And so it's really positive. And long story again made short is that the reinvention would never have come to me were it not for the troubles caused by the pandemic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You must see this in business all the time, but in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I do. You know, the biggest challenge I see with businesses is when uncertainty hits, we get stuck. And if you get stuck, then you can't find the opportunity.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to crack that code. And that's what the formula does. If you're somebody, people either fall into one of two camps. When uncertainty hits, you either run to the sound of the gunfire and take action, or you take a wait and see approach. There's danger in both. I am a run.
Or if you're Forrest Gump, you run towards the fire. Right?
Yeah, that's right. And if you run to the sound of the gunfire and take action, you need to know where you're running and what you want to accomplish. You need to be focused. And if you're somebody who takes a wait and see approach, the problem is you can wait too long and the opportunity can pass you by. So I wanted to write this formula so everybody understands exactly what to do, the order to do the steps, and exactly how to do them.
Meredith Elliott Powell, you're a delight, and I welcome you to come back to Global TV talk shows someday.
I would love
so
to.
once again, the Thrive book, right? Now, there's several chapters in it. Name one chapter that you particularly love that just bounds right out of the book into your head immediately. What's that chapter about?
It's the chapter on conditioning yourself for change. It's one of my favorite chapters, and that is that you have to understand in an uncertain marketplace, if you wait for change to show up, all the change experts tell us how to manage change, how to navigate change. Forget that. You have to start predicting change. You have to start to get ahead of the change. And we use a tool called a skeptic to do that, where you get together with your team every 30 days and just brainstorm about what you see happening with society, competition, economics, politics, technology, industry, customers. But the story that I'll tell you in the book really quick is one of the companies we interviewed was Jim Beam. Now, who doesn't love a good bourbon? Now, you want to talk about challenges that companies have faced. Imagine facing prohibition. For those of you who don't live in the US, we came up with this crazy idea in the 1930s that we would make drinking and making alcohol illegal. Now, Jim Beam made bourbon, and literally he saw the writing on the wall that prohibition could become legalized. None of his competitors really believed that, but he decided to make a plan just in case. And he bought land in Florida to grow citrus, and he invested in some mining companies. So when the government came in, shut his business down, destroyed his still, he had a way to make a living and to keep his family going. The rest of his competitors had to declare bankruptcy and were struggling just to figure out what to do. Jim Beam kept an eye on the fact that he didn't believe prohibition would stay illegal. And about 2 to 3 years before it was taken off was going to be stricken from the books, he saw the writing on the wall and he started to gather investors together. And when prohibition, when drinking became legalized again, it was 3 days before he was back up and running. They were the first distillery back open and pretty much have remained number one ever since. So I love this idea that you start to control change rather than allowing change to control you.
Thank you so much. That's a great story. And I'm going to go get some Jim Beam.
Good for you. Everybody
I
needs
just ended a bottle recently of Maker's Mark, and I'm, usually stick to vodka, but this is a good story. Thank you.
It's a very motivating story. And the beauty is every step in the book, they're all things you can do, whether you're a Fortune 500 or a small mom and pop operation.
Right. Okay, so Meredith Elliott Powell, out there in the world, you can see her name right there. Go LinkedIn it, and but you have a different name for what? Motion First, or
Motion First is just the name of my business. If you find me on LinkedIn, you'll find it under Meredith Elliott Powell. I am a passionate believer. Build your network. It will change your life. So if you connect with me, I will definitely connect with you. You can also find me at my website, which is just valuespeaker.com, just the words valuespeaker.com.
And I see that you're a CSP.
Yes, certified speaking professional.
That's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's less than 12% of professional speakers have gone through the rigorous accreditation process.
Right. Thank you very much. I look forward to meeting you someday in person.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much, Edwin. It was very fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
This is Ed in Southern California signing off.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.